What is going on, guys?
Can you guys hear me?
I have my microphone pinned to a zip tape roll. All right, guys, I kind of just wanted to hop in here, open up a Q&A, talk about a few things. There's all sorts of stuff going on. I got a bunch of emails from you guys the last couple of days regarding a 5-story building under construction that collapsed. 4 were injured. This place was framed, but it wasn't finished. Guadalajara, what's going on? Jared Kaufman. That is my boy right there. So I'm open to any questions you guys shoot in the comments there. We're going to go over a few things, upcoming projects. I want to talk, honestly, the tragedy. I hate to see it, but there's a lot that went on there as well. And then, like I said, the 5-story building you guys sent me quite a bit of. Let's jump right into it. How did you learn how to read blueprints and how long did it take? It was years. It takes a long time to understand what you're doing to the point where you can actually put it into motion and build it. So you have to build it enough times to understand exactly what you're doing, to know that the rim joist needs to be fastened down, and then you have A35s beside it for uplift. You have to know why you're doing it and how to do it before you can actually look at a set of plans and truly understand it. Need more females on your show. I have 2 daughters. One wants to build when she's older. Any new tools you wish you got sooner? I really want the Milwaukee framing nailer, but I don't want to buy it. Did you go to school to get a red seal? So in California, in the United States in general, we do not have red seal certifications. That's more of a Canada thing. It helps tremendously up there, but here, the only thing we do have is like a union apprenticeship. You would go through that, and at the end, you would be a licensed journeyman. But I didn't do that either. Any future collabs with other framing YouTubers? I wish, but I'm in California, so it's kind of a tough one. Kyle's in Illinois. Essential Craftsman's up north of me. Awesome Framers is north of me. I will be in Oregon soon, so I'll be really close to Essential Craftsman, but he's a little too big. How long have you been a carpenter for? I started as a laborer back when I was 15 or 16. I didn't take anything serious until, I don't know, I was probably 18, 19. And that was when I kind of found out, hey, I either got to get my stuff together and make a career out of this or find something else. Yeah, Kyle's in Illinois. I wish we could do something. Daniel, yes, my father owns the company. I help run the backside of it, our bidding contracts. I do all of our legal work. Any advice on taking over the family business? I'm in the process of getting licensed in the state of Oregon. So not taking over, but expanding and going elsewhere. Frank, do you actually like it? The Milwaukee framing nailer? Jeff, where do we frame mostly? The coast of California. So we're in Central California. You have like above us is San Francisco and all the really important places. And then below us is Los Angeles with all like the really high dollar clients. And we're smack dab in the middle with like, I don't know, we're not huge. The area we're in doesn't have all that many people. Any advice on taking over the family business? I mean, if you're asking for yourself, take initiative, start doing things you don't now, project management, get into the roles that an owner would have. Do you still talk to Quentin Towley? I've seen so many comments on my videos on that. That's funny. I do. Not often, but I do from time to time. He's in the process of becoming a firefighter. He's super stoked. What's funny is like Quentin dropped off the channel March of 2020. Nobody noticed until like December of 2020. And everyone's like, where'd he go? He's been gone for a long time. How to measure and cut exterior wall with plywood so it is flush. What do you mean by that? Flush to foundation? If so, you take the overall number, say it's 32 feet and minus a ½ inch for both sides. For Californians, y'all seem pretty cool. Yikes. Appreciate it though. No, I haven't been uploading a lot. So backstory on that. Right now I have like 3 to 4 projects in contract. There's still only 4 of us working. So it's a tough one. I've been busier than I've ever been before, which isn't a bad thing, not complaining at all. But the workflow comes first and then YouTube comes second. Elk Grove, California. Love the Milwaukee 30-degree framing nailer. Worth it with the extension clip. You have to buy a separate magazine for that, where you have 2 full racks in there, because I don't have any guns that can utilize 2 racks. Any advice for a carpenter to move up faster in the trade? A few things. Give me a sec. To make it easy for you, a lot of people expect to only do their learning on the job. They learn from 7 to 3:30 when they're at work, and they don't want to do anything else. If you want to actually move up, you want to make more money, you want to do better with your career, what you're going to do is go home and learn. You're going to figure out how to do things that you couldn't figure out during your 9 to 5 or your 7 to 3:30, and you'll learn them at home. No matter how you do it, you learn on your time. That's going to boost you way farther into your apprenticeship. They're going to know that you're taking initiative and actually want to learn. And from there, you'll just boop, 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 up you go. In the middle of building a tool bench, question for legs, do I use 4x4 or 2x4s? I want to make the tool mobile. Marco, if it's going to stay in one spot, I'd use 4x4s. That's what, I can't show you guys because it's, can't move the camera. But I have my whole shop built in here with 8x8. All this wood right here, I'm actually super stoked on this. The wood right here is the old post and beam from the winery that we did a couple years back. This was before lumber went through the roof, because this is now worth $20,000, $30,000. Not really. But we took down probably 100 linear feet of perfectly good 8x8. There was no damage to it. So I built all this. Where do you find all the sick ambient sort of tunes you put in your videos? So this is really funny. YouTube is really specific as far as what we can use for audio. It's a pain. And they have a little YouTube library where it's nothing but free music that has no chance of being copyright. And I go through there in the middle of the night, click through a bunch of them, find one of the weirdest ones, and throw that on. What's going on, Corey? Any tips for getting into residential framing with little experience? Oh, everybody wants to jump straight into I'm a framer or I'm a carpenter. And if you don't have the knowledge to do so, you need to work your way up from the bottom and get to the top. Now, as far as getting hired with a residential crew, if you're going non-union, if you're going union, you need to go the same path everybody else does. Call, get on a wait list, find your connections, and get in that way. If you're finding non-union that you want to do, all you need to do is cold call them. It's funny because I get a lot of you guys that call in, not necessarily you in the comments, but a lot of viewers call in asking if we'd hire them. The problem being is we're such a small company, there's only 4 of us to begin with, that we don't hire a whole lot of people. Austin McCall, how do I attach bottom plate to concrete? Buddy, I wouldn't even try. Just glue it. Leave it. Hope it stays. He's right. Being a helper / cut man pays better than people think, and it's the way to go if you're new. You ever post drill hold down going to we can't do really anything once the slab is in. So everything has to be poured in place. If it's not, we have to have an inspection and we have to epoxy stuff in. They do a pull test on it. It is a long process. So if you miss a hold down, you're kind of screwed. How much do you make per year approximately? Not enough. I'm taking a blueprint reading class this fall semester. Any books you recommend for it? Shoot me an email. I have a list of a few that I can send you over. Started as a laborer, entered into apprenticeship. Glad I chose this career. Love the tools. Also, how do you like the artisan belt? Just ordered one. The artisan was a good one. I liked it. It did become a little too small. I was noticing my square was falling out of it, so I did switch to the Denali 2.0, and so far that's been awesome. Have you done anything fun this summer? I'm kind of a workaholic, unfortunately. We do have a camper. We take that out, so we go out to the lake quite a bit. Do you eat the cost of higher lumber prices or charge to client? So I talked about this in the lumber material deal we did. I have a 3% clause stating that if material goes over 3% from the time that we sign contract, that they cover it. So we have full disclosure from the beginning, pretty much of what's going to happen. The hardest place to build and toughest building codes are in Florida. You are spot on, CoinGecko. I hope you've been holding strong through the crypto wave. Yes, Florida is pretty gnarly. California is as well. And those are like the two hardest hitting states. What would it take for you to use? I don't even know how to pronounce that. It's new to me, so it's kind of tough. Tell us a funny story from the job site. We'll get to that. At 20, he instructed I swung a hammer. You are 27 years old. I don't know if you guys remember, but when we built the ridge, the custom out there, big old oblong shaped looking thing, the dude that cut all of our tails, all of our 4x8s, his name was Greg. He was 55 years old and could smoke any of us. So you're 27. You have a long ways to go, buddy. I get a sample of your contracts, trying to learn how to make better contracts. Ricky, if you're in California, our contracts will sit right with what you do. If you're not in California, unfortunately, it's going to look like a bunch of nonsense to you. If you are in California, shoot me an email. My email is listed all over the place. mattbaingswoodmanagement@gmail.com. I can send you that over. Awesome dude 0608. Is Fox a family member of yours? So let's do a how we met Fox. This is an interesting one. I love the guy. I have a little sister. She's currently 15 years old. When she was 5, she was in kindergarten. And when you're in kindergarten and you invite one person to your birthday party, you have to invite everybody to your birthday. This was 10 years ago. We had a birthday party at the park, and this little skater dude shows up with his 2 kids, and they're playing around in the bounce house and whatever. We got to talking to him. He was a framer. At that time, 10 years ago, I was 14, so I wasn't talking about framing, but my pops was. So he's talking to him for a bit, and then ended up going to work for him the next week. They were working for my uncle at the time, and 10 years later, we're still working with the guy. But no, he's not a family member, just an old friend. I need to get him on here. He has a fun history. Professional skateboarding, sponsored, toured with like some of the biggest pros. Pretty rad. Are you hiring? 10 years in it. Love to work with you. Unfortunately, we're not. It's kind of tough. We're pretty small. Do you see more Spanish-speaking workers or white people in Central California? It's a pretty good mix. We've had quite a few of both. Favorite framing hammer? That Deluge that I swing, that 16 ounce, is insane. That going back to hiring, unfortunately, we're not. Hardest part of framing a house? Oh, that's a tough one. It really depends. So if you run into problems, the biggest problem that you're going to have is getting in touch with engineer or architect to go over things. One, you have to pay. Two, it's kind of a pain. Yeah, as far as that goes, that's probably the toughest bit. Building it's not the hard part. What do you think of the Dewalt rear handle saw? I can tell you that everybody on site hates it. Nobody enjoys it. I mean, aside from me. Everybody else thinks it's way too heavy. With the Makitas that we have, I think they're like 3 to 4 pounds lighter, and the battery that I have to use in the Dewalt is massive. I love it. They hate it. Oh gosh, can't keep up here. Are you in San Diego? No, we are in Central California. Think like San Luis Obispo County. You have Frisco above us, we have LA below us, and we're just like this little crappy town in the center. Leather belt pinches. What are the most comfortable belts you've tried? We're a similar size. All right, so right now Steven has the Buckaroo belt with the Occidental bags on it, and he loves it. Partially why he's doing that is because he has the suspenders on as well, the orange suspenders from Buckaroo, and he was able to hook everything up and it works killer. Do you get paid to promote Zip System? No, I do not. I wish I did. Floor load is the hardest. Everything is heavy. Beams, floor joist, and 3/4 OSB. We did a project a couple years back that was 1 1/8 inch. We haven't done that in a bit. It's definitely heavy though. How can I get younger guys interested in the trades? That's kind of a tougher one. I've been trying to navigate that as well, hence the support the youth behind me here. And the only thing that I can see is basically showing them why they should be doing it. When I was in school, I wasn't a good student whatsoever. I didn't enjoy learning in a classroom, and it was tough. They gave me no other option aside from go to college, be successful, and that was it. Happen is we need to get into the high schools and get into these kids while they're younger and basically tell them, here's a killer career you can have. You'll make good money. You can have benefits, a full-on retirement, and show them. Do you run background checks and do you need good credit? Hey, can you say hi to Juan Fuentes? Big follow. What's going on, man? Gosh, I get on these rampages talking and then I lose track of everything. Does all your Hvac need to be inspected by Hvac to get the warranty? Yes, it does, and it's a pain. I've known of one person that actually has a warranty on their Hvac. The other thing is I think it has a 90-day guarantee outside. So if you wrap your building and it sits for longer than 90 days, everything is void, and that stuff turns kind of like burnt paper after a bit. Why do you use nails as spacers when putting OSB on roofs? You want to have an 1/8 inch gap for expansion and contraction on your roof sheathing, on your wall sheathing, on your floor sheathing, pretty much everything. And if you don't do that, what will happen is the sheets will be way too close together and they can buckle. And we don't want that to happen. When you set trusses, what do you cut your blocking at? 22 3/8. 22.5 is the actual number, but 22 3/8 makes it to where we don't have any sort of bowing or pushing out due to the gang plates. Working in construction is fun for me. Of course, there's always bad days, but it is what it is. I kind of agree with that. We definitely have our bad days as well. We try to make the best out of things, though. The only reason you have work, listen close, general contractors find contractors as far as can be for a cheaper build. You're hurting California contractors. Stay in Nevada. Your work is nothing special. Thank you, buddy. I never worked in Nevada. We're never the cheapest bid. What truck do you drive? I have a 2008 Chevy Silverado. I do want the new Tesla Cybertruck, but it's unrealistic. Do you guys do finished carpentry? I've set some cabinets from time to time. What's all the background noise? My neighbor has a hot rod that he just fired up to take out on the drive. You mentioned the Hvac. I'm sitting here looking at my whole house wrapped in it, exposed. Just get it covered. That's the best thing you could do. We had that go on with the Ridge. They had us contracted to do the siding on the front, the back, and the master bedroom and such. But unfortunately, it took way too long for that project to get completed. They're just now finishing it up. So the project that we filmed, it was during forest fires back in 2020. And they're just now getting exterior finishes done. Stucco just got finished. Decks just got put down. Due to cost, they've changed quite a bit. Do you have a target area on Oregon you're hoping to break into, or just whenever the work takes you? So I don't even have a work lined up there, which is kind of the scary part. We have goals of being in Southern Oregon, Klamath Falls, Ashland area, Medford, and we're going to see how it works. I own one property in Klamath Falls right now, little city lot that I plan to develop, and it's kind of funny. Give me a sec. It's kind of funny because the lot right next door just popped up for sale yesterday. So we're in the works trying to buy that as well. So now we will own two little city lots side by side, which then make it big enough to do multifamily if I wanted to. What's the best way to present yourself to a contractor getting your own business? In what way do you mean? I mean, as far as like getting work, we don't really meet with anybody. So, and we didn't in the beginning either. Any stories regarding clients with unreasonable requests? I'm learning framing and my boss has got me doing irrigation to appease the client. Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. So unfortunately, someone gets used as a pawn no matter what the project is, and you will do stupid tasks in order to keep people happy. I haven't ever gone as far as that though. Do you ever foresee yourself moving into 5-story stick-framed buildings with a couple $1 million contract in multifamily? So that kind of leads me into where we're at now. I know where this was. There was a 5-story building that just collapsed. So let me give you guys a loophole. Here's how you can get away with that in California, US in general. 4 stories was always the cap as far as wood goes. So you couldn't ever build a 6-story building out of wood. Most of the time that's big commercial and you see it either concrete or you see it out of steel. Now, the project that just fell over, the 5-story building that trapped one, injured another, that was a wood structure, 5 stories tall from my understanding. And this was completely lack of response on the contractor there or the site super, whoever the heck was in charge of the project. They went from bottom to top with minimal bracing and no shear up on the walls. So my thought on what happened here, I've looked into it like crazy, but can't read all that much, is it kind of acted like a deck of cards. With minimal bracing, this thing kind of just wiggled however it had to and down it went. Because in the pictures that I'm seeing, you have bare studs and you have a floor that's completely sheeted out. My guess is that they didn't brace good enough and down it went. But to lose a 5-story building like that, what I was saying though is the loophole oftentimes for big commercial, big multifamily, if you're building more than 4 stories, the way that they would do it would be to have steel on the bottom and then 4 wood up above it, giving you 5 stories. What's the general outlook of bidding a job? What's your method summarized? If we're talking rough framing, I do have a price that I base things off of, and then I price in variables such as access to site, whether I can use a reach lift or I have to have a crane, storage. Everything on our little deal that I go off of went out the window on the last project, the duplex, because I lost all space. We ended up craning things in. That was a tough one. What do you look for in young guys that want to work with you? So a few things. A lot of people think that the only thing we're looking for is experience. And to be honest with you, I could care less if they have experience. If they show drive and actually want to take initiative and learn, that's everything. That is the best thing we could find. You can teach the trade, you can't teach a work ethic. I mean, if you're stupid enough to do it that way, you get what's coming for you. I agree, but at the same time, I wish someone would have stopped that from happening. We're in the process of building an ADO mill build. We decided to change the design of our back patio. The patio lid was braced with LVL beams. Now we want an exposed beam load ID. If you already have LVLs in place, just go ahead and wrap the outside of it. You know what I mean? Take pine, wrap around it, make it look clean. Without seeing it, it's kind of tough to give you an idea of what to do. Thinking about getting a cordless framing nailer, which one do you recommend? So the last couple that I have used, I haven't used the Milwaukee yet, so I can't give you any info on that. I have used the Hitachi, which is now Metabo, and the Dewalt, no, not the Dewalt. Metabo, the Pass Load, and the Senko. The Senko, I don't even look into it. The Pass Load's pretty quick, and the Metabo's a little slower, but it's reliable. So to me, it's between the Pass Load and the Metabo. I have a hard time toenailing with the Metabo. I cut down, grinded down the tip there, and it seemed to help a bit. The Pass Load has a really sharp tip on it, therefore you can kind of jam the thing in there and toenail good. Ever going to do any collabs with other builders on YouTube? I would like to. We'll see what happens. I have some projects down in Southern California, so we're working with some people down there already, but there's really not a whole lot of people that are into YouTube here in California. As far as the building industry, everybody's kind of really far spread out. We have Risinger in Texas, Kyle's in Illinois, everybody else is north of me. I got the Milwaukee cordless framing nailer for Father's Day. I have no complaints. I need to get one. If you were to choose another trade, what would it be? I always wanted to be an electrician. I would still do that. I know how to run wire. I know what I'm doing a little bit, but once you get into the math behind it, I'm lost. Do you ever create a worksheet with all your rough opening dimensions and blocking locations prior to framing? Windows, doors, cabinets, tile bars, etc. So I don't do that, but what I will do is go through the plans and get an overall rough opening. So it's similar to making like a story pole. So you lay out the bottom plate, you lay out your bottom cripples, your sills, your headers, and go through it like that. And it's pretty easy to do once you know all that. You get your overall header and your bottom crips, top crips, and we'll have a cut list going beforehand, but I don't really work off of like an Excel spreadsheet all that much. Has anyone ever destroyed or vandalized any of the job sites? Yes, many times. It's unfortunate. Last year we were on, what was that place called? Building a custom home, that little cracker box. And we had $1,000 compressor go missing, a couple $1,000. It was like $6,000 in stolen tools, and everything got recovered. The guy got charged. He's currently behind bars. You get most of your work from an architect or directly to customers. So we work a little bit different than most in the sense that we're not a general contracting company. We are a subcontractor. Therefore, the general contractor typically seeks bids. They'll solicit bids from us, and we go in, bid the projects. But a lot of the times, the customers come to us requesting us. Residential versus commercial, main differences. Residential, you're going to be on custom sites. You're going to have change of scenery. Commercial, big projects, you're going to be there for a bit. How are the fires doing now? The I-5 is currently on fire, or it was. Things have slowed down. Do you get a lot of material theft? Here, if we leave OSB unsecured, it's gone. Well, 10 sheets is $1,000, so I can understand that. No, but to answer that question, we haven't had any material theft. Have you ever dealt with really hard by-the-book inspectors? How do you deal with really tough inspectors? People are going to tell you not to do what I'm about to tell you, but people like to talk. Always be present for your inspections. Always talk with the inspector. Figure out what they like to talk about. This isn't a way of bypassing your terrible work. We still do clean work. But you will get people that like to really sit and pick through everything. On the last project we completed, we had special inspection on any nailing tighter than 3 and 12. The structural engineer came out. Typically, it's a third-party inspector. He came out, checked the place out, and he was calling me. We had a 2 and 12 wall. It was 2 1/4, and he wanted the nailing tighter. He wanted it 2, but it was a 1/4 inch too big. I wasn't there for the first inspection. The second inspection I was, and kind of talked him through everything, asked him about his career, talked to him about the market, and he walked away, signed everything off. Everything was good to begin with. But if you don't talk them through, they will find something to get you for, even if it's the most ridiculous thing. Read an article a week ago that said lumber prices are about to drop, but today I read another article that said lumber prices are still high. Any idea when prices might become reasonable? It is a process. This all started back in early 2020 and kind of led us up to where we are today. We have already seen the spike in lumber futures in May. Things are going to come down. I've already seen drops at Home Depot, which is one of the big consumers there. And it's going to come down. It's coming down quick. I think we'll see a solid drop by later in the year. Right now, though, absolutely not. Do you think HVAC is a good trade to get into? If you know somebody that does it, get on site and try it out. If you are young, you are eager, join every trade site and just check it out. See if you like it. Nobody's going to judge you if you go from trying to be a plumber to an electrician to a carpenter to doing roofing, drywall. You have to find what you like. What happened to the house from season 1? Oh, gosh. That's old. Real old. Unfortunately, we can't go that route. Price of material here in Belgium are also 3 times old price 2 years ago. Do you think it will get down again? That's kind of a tough one for you guys because from what I know, you have a lot of stuff imported there, and it's a long process getting there. We are pretty close to where all the wood comes from, and it's still outrageous. So it's going to drop for us, and it'll probably drop for you a little bit later. Can you explain how to cover bird holes? Like vents in your blocks? We always have the little mesh screens. Which material is better for board and batten? I'm doing board and batten here on the duplex in a couple weeks. We have the James Hardie 4x9 sheets that we're using, and then we're using a pre-primed finger joint little 1x2 to cover everything. Some people are big fans of the James Hardie trim and the 1x2s as well. I personally don't like it. It's such a brittle material that you nail into it and the thing will bust to pieces. You'll also kill a couple finish nailers in the process. Can you or will you do a review on the Denali 2.0 size and whatnot? I need to. Diamondback hit me up a couple weeks ago asking me if I could do something on it. I think we will. It's been a while since I've been using it. It's been an awesome belt setup. We'll make that happen. Any tips for our first construction job? Be a sponge. A lot of people, when they first get into this whole industry, think that asking people what to do over and over and over again is the best thing to do. It's one thing to know what you're doing, and obviously that'll come with time, but bugging whoever you're working for is also, you need to find the fine line between doing your job and bugging somebody. Asking what to do is not a bad thing, but if you're doing it every 15, 20 minutes because you completed the task before, you're probably hurting more than you're doing good. So think ahead. That's the best advice I can give. Think about what's coming next. If you just cleaned out room A and room B is a disaster and they're having you clean up, chances are you're going to clean room B rather than go and ask what to do and get told to clean room B. Think ahead. What are your thoughts on the union framers? Different world of people, different project sizes, different crew sizes. My father was a union carpenter for a bit. He ran big crews out here doing a lot of the big commercial buildings. They did the Cal Poly dorm rooms. How much time have you done? 11 years. I had someone recently comment on a video here on YouTube telling me that I can get tattoos removed. Told them that I did 14 years in San Quentin. Story about that, about going to jail? I've never been to jail. I have like a speeding ticket and a window tint ticket. Jeff, bumping this question that was missed. It's good. I'm a residential structural drafter in NorCal. Produced by the construction documents you use. Oh gosh, that's a really good question. If we're talking blueprint specifically, the biggest thing that I notice is that oftentimes it doesn't happen so much with structural engineers. It happens with our architects that we work with, and there's many of them out here. If I don't want to call anybody out specifically, on the duplex build that we did, we had windows that simply didn't fit the project. And on a set of plans, you can scale pretty much anything. You can scale window sizes on exterior elevations, and you should pretty much be able to see what you have going based off of that. And what we've noticed is that when things don't work, they'll shrink things down, make it the size that it's not, and leave it a gray area. We find out later that it doesn't work. So basically avoiding problems. They leave a gray area. It's up to us to find them. Then we bring it up, things get drawn and fixed. Doesn't happen so much with engineers, pretty much architects. How much are you currently making? I know that's personal. I'm just curious if you don't mind. So here in California, a framer can expect to make anywhere from $25 on the low end up to $45. That's an hour. How long is an 8-foot stud? Okay, I want you guys in the comments here, if you understand that question right there, how long is a pre-cut 8-foot stud for an 8-foot wall? Here in California, it's 92 1/4. In other places, it's 92 5/8. I've heard it 92 1/8. Let me know in the chat there. 92 1/4 from Eric Garcia. $92 5/8 from Davey. I don't understand. I still couldn't tell you 92 5/8 again from Cameron. From what I know, this is an East Coast and a West Coast thing. We have the West Coast that uses 92 1/4, 92 5/8 in Texas. One side of the US is 92 1/4. The other side is 92 5/8. Daniel came in with 92 3/8. I have no idea why. I wish I could tell you guys why. I've looked at many articles, read through a ton of different literature on it, and nobody has a surefire answer as to why one is 92 1/4 and the other is 92 5. What this means is that a building on the East Coast is actually a little bit taller than here in the West Coast. Yeah, 92 5/8 pretty much everywhere over there. Did you plan your own home or plan to? In Oregon, we have the one little lot I was talking about earlier, and then we have a second lot that we're trying to pick up right now. Both of them will be built to sell. We'll go through, design everything, work with an architect, structural engineer, and then put the little thing together. We're planning on small properties, something around 800 to 1,000 square feet. It'll also be cheaper on the pocket. The market is kind of rough right now, though. Everything is kind of making a big moon, so I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen. We might go up there and build start of next year. If things are crashing pretty good, we might hold off a bit. You're going to do the finished work yourself in those houses. We will set cabinets. We'll trim everything out. Full disclosure, I do plan on subcontracting HVAC, plumbing, electrical, things I'm not comfortable with. In your opinion, what's the best age for someone to open their own company and be successful? Keith, that's a really good question. I know guys that are in their late 30s that start in business and they're in debt $50,000, $60,000 within the first couple months of being in business. This stuff is not cheap. None of it is. It changes depending on the area you're in. Here in California, we have insane policies that we have to have in order to work on these job sites. Other places, I heard it's not so bad. They get a business license and they're running their own crew. That's not the case here. So I'd look into wherever it is you're at and see what it's going to take. Here in California, if I had to guess, a rough startup on a framing crew, completely legal, payroll in place, general liability, auto insurance. Just to step foot on a job, I'd say you're looking around $30,000. When you dance at the club, do you make money moves? Buddy, when I dance at the club, people are throwing money at me like crazy. Overhead is going to kill some people. Exactly. Opinions on people getting an apprenticeship over just working their way up in the trade. You pretty much do the same exact thing. There's really no difference. One, you're going to learn a lot. One, you're going to learn a lot. Take your pick. One's going to be on paper, one's not. You make a 16-inch centered on each line. That is how a lot of people still frame to this day. Oh, we're reconnecting. That's how a lot of people frame to this day. You can. It ain't going to kill you. Hardest part of starting your own business besides overhead costs? That is a really good question. As I've mentioned before, this isn't my company. I do a lot of the back end of it, but I didn't exactly start the company. So, hardest part. When you work for somebody, you think it's really easy to go out, find work, and a lot of the times people think that the general contractor or the subcontractors are just raking in the dough, and that's what often gets people excited and want to go out and do it on their own. The problem is they don't understand what it takes to have those connections to get the projects to make the money, and that's where a lot of people go wrong. That's, I'd say 90% of people that do it jump out there and they don't have connections to get to work. So I'd say the hardest part of starting your own business beside overhead costs is getting out there, getting your name out there, making those connections, and finding enough people to get work from that you stay busy. You get extra money if you finish the project ahead of time. We do have some incentives that work out to where if things get done quick, we do good. Don't give up on us young guys. We're not giving up on you, Panda Bear, I promise you. How big is your crew? We got a crew of 4 right now, including the owner and myself. We only have 2 people. With a 92 1/4 says, do you have 5/8 drywall on the ceiling? Yes, we do. All right. I'm going to run it for another 10 minutes and I'm out of here. It is Saturday, I think. 4th of July is tomorrow. Wanted to hop on here with you guys, chat for a bit, see what was going on. Hope all of you guys are having a good weekend. It's been fun. We have a grip of comments in here. I know I didn't get to everybody, and I apologize if I didn't get to you. What's your dream build? Have you heard of Perkins Builder Brothers? I have. I definitely have. Those guys are on it. I don't know where they're from, but they're killing it right now. What's your dream build? Let's run over that real quick. So ideally, we're moving out to Oregon I'm in the process of looking for 5 to 10 acres, kind of build out a little homestead, big shop out there. Cost of doing business in Oregon is way lower. North Carolina, oh gosh, that's far away. But cost of doing business in Oregon is a lot lower. Therefore, we take California money, essentially, go to Oregon, settle down, and things will just be easier. Thanks for keeping your videos clean. My 7-year-old son and I watch often. I know how it is on work sites. Michael, I want to thank you for bringing that up because that was something that took a long time for me to figure out. And to be honest with you, when I first started on YouTube, I had no idea where this was going to go. Like, no idea at all. I originally started this because I had a project lined up that my grandfather was going to work with us on, my dad, and myself. So it was 3 generations. Now, my grandpa is somewhere around 73, 74, and he's not working all that often anymore. So this project was going to be and would have been the last project we did as a family with all 3 generations on board. Unfortunately, he didn't end up working with us on the project. He bailed on us, didn't want to do it, and we ended up doing it. And that was season 1, the house you guys saw 3.5 years ago. With that being said, I lost track of where I was at. As far as keeping things clean, I didn't ever plan for this to grow to what it is today. I really just wanted to hop on there, show some stuff, and have fun. And as you say, job sites are they're kind of brutal. People talk as vulgar as they can, and everything goes. So in the beginning, I didn't really care too much. And then as we got a little bit bigger, we started getting implemented into classrooms. And at that point, I had one of the biggest nonprofits in the United States reach out to me, and they wanted to use my content early on, but they said they couldn't due to vulgar language. So right then, from there on out, I cut it. You think lumber prices are going down anytime soon? Absolutely, they're going to. They can't. Look at anything. Look at, not even to bring this up, look at AMC, look at GameStop, look at anything that spikes as hard as it does, everything comes back down. And there's reasons behind what happened with lumber. BU game, oh, you can see the ROG logo on the back there. Kind of. Not on this. I have a PS5 that I play Call of Duty on. If any of you guys ever want to do that, let's do it. But as far as this goes, I bought this to edit. I've had this series for a bit. We review the 𝑪𝑶𝑵𝑵𝑬𝑪𝑚. I've been meaning to put together a video with the 𝑪𝑶𝑵𝑵𝑬𝑚𝑚, the pass load, and the Senko. And then I don't know what we're going to do with the Senko. I'm not going to keep it. I'd probably throw it somewhere. For video ideas, please do more of those tips and tricks. The anchor bolt hole tips and calculator tips are great. Will do. I'll keep that in mind. Things are kind of shifting. Our content's going to go a couple different ways. We have a few different projects going on. We'll talk about that in a minute. There's a bunch of people forecasting another depression/recession next year. What's your thoughts on that? The recession that we saw in 2007 and 2008 was caused by something completely different. That was an overabundance of houses, and they would pretty much give a house to anybody. I would have bought one, except for I was like 10 years old. So there's a difference. Now, 2020, 2021, there isn't enough houses on the market for people to buy. Therefore, it's causing this massive climb because as soon as a house gets listed, you have 50 freaking offers. Now, you jump back to 2007, 2008, there was enough houses for everybody to just, I want that one, you want that one. They didn't have to fight over the single house. And basically, they gave loans to people that should never have loans. That was what I think caused the initial crash. Nobody could pay for their stuff. Everything went to crap. The difference now is people still can't find houses. That's what's driven the price through the roof. I think it's going to come back down, but I don't think we're anywhere near a depression or recession. Also, the market's way too strong for that. So we contract at most 6 to 8 months out, and we have no problem right now with people signing now for future projects. I haven't heard of really anybody backing out. I know several people who paid 15 to 20,000 over listing prices on houses. So in California, houses are ridiculous. As you guys know, we just went to that one. I tried to live stream there, but unfortunately it didn't work. The place was somewhere around 40 to 50 mil for budget. Houses down in Los Angeles are going for like $1 million over asking price, depending on where you're at. Now is the perfect time to be a real estate agent. Did you go to Cuesta? Mac, no, I did not. I didn't make it past high school. Come to Oregon, I'll allow it. You know, I have plans to switch my license plate, my driver's license, and everything about me before I step foot in that state. They don't like us there. Familiar with Dave Ramsey's personal financial advice? No, but I make terrible financial decisions, so I should probably look into it. Eric Garcia, shoot me an email. We'll exchange gamer tags. I'll hop on there. Already signs of housing coming down, more houses with reduced pricing, more houses with less offers, selling getting too greedy. The decline has started. Absolutely right. And I am so stoked to see it. Where have you framed which states? California only. Why did you stop using the battery skill saw? That was a tough one. I actually gave it to a friend of mine who's currently in Washington. He came down sometime late 2020, and I gave it to him. Great saw. The only thing I didn't like about it is the depth of cut. I needed it to be able to cut all the way through 3x plating because we use it quite a bit. I'm in Georgia. Ever framed here? No, but I'd like to go there. Dave Ramsey in a nutshell: live like you're homeless till you're debt free. I have 2 kids. I can't live like I'm homeless. They're too young. We like to have fun. I do save money. I do invest in real estate. I'm smart with it. How did you get comfortable walking plate? This is a tough one. I remember I was 17 years old, and it was a tough one. I was fairly new to the job site. I was just getting going as far as learning how to put stuff together. And I was up 18 feet. Like I told you guys, they would do steel for the bottom of commercial, and then they would do wood up above it, and that would be residential. I had a beam that I was walking on, and this beam was massive. It was probably 8 inches wide, 40-something feet long. And I needed to get from one side to the other. And instead of getting down on an extension ladder, going up to the other side, I chose, I'm going to walk through this thing. Now, the problem that I had when I was younger was that I would freeze up. And once you freeze up, you're pretty much toast. You need to get your mind back into where you're at. But hold a hammer, hold a tape measure, do whatever you have to. Keep your mind going and just cruise. What's your opinion on metal connector nailer to the Simpson? You spelled it wrong there, so I said it wrong. Simpson strong tie screws. I actually prefer the positive placement nailer, the nails, rather than the strong tie screws for multiple reasons. The screws that they had us use, they just spec'd them out on the duplex build that we did, and they were $8 a box for like 25 screws. Those 25 screws would do a handful of A35s or H1s. Ridiculous amounts of screws went into that house. I prefer the nails, but the screws get called out and there's no way around it. What is your worst related work injury? I took a 3 1/4 nail across 3 fingers last year. I have gotten really lucky with that. I have taken a 16 to the thumb twice to the side of it right there, to the pointer finger once right there. That happened on the winery, and everything has bounced right out. As far as worst, for me, I had heat exhaustion. Well, they say it was a heat stroke. I say it was heat exhaustion. It was 117 here, and I got down off of a scissor lift. started cruising back over to the truck. We were at a winery, middle of like a desert, and I just face planted. I landed straight into a bunch of rocks. Worst injury I've seen, I watched a good friend of mine cut his arm off. As long as everybody in here is cool with that story, we could talk about that. Any favorite brand of air tools, or just depends on the individual tool? As far as frame and nailers are a big one. New Tools makes a killer gun. A lot of people think that I'm just promoting some knockoff tool. Hitachi let the patent go on the NR83A, and that was essentially where they picked up everything for their guns. Tell the arm story. I'm concerned that I don't have the math knowledge to carry me through the carpentry trade. Any suggestions on what I should do? Preston, I've had people that don't know how to read a tape measure, buddy. They don't understand what an eighth is, what 3/8, where anything is on a tape measure. Everything can be taught. Nothing is unteachable. The only thing, I take that back. A work ethic is unteachable. If you have the drive and the want, you can learn how to read the tape. You can learn how to do the math. You can learn how to do any of it. It just takes time. Tell the arm story. We can talk about it. Can we talk about it? Piece of metal in my eye was terrible. Fell into the water park slides while working with tool belt on and all. That doesn't sound like it was an accident. That sounds intentional. Practice and patience is key to learning. Exactly. Everybody here is telling you the same thing, buddy. You can get into it and read a tape after a while, learn how to get that. You can't read a tape, still want 40 an hour. Can't teach common sense. Exactly. If you go into this trade, understand where you're at. That is the biggest thing with people in this industry. You need to understand, humble yourself, and understand where you're at on the totem pole. There is a totem pole regardless of what company you work for. And if you start at the bottom, never expect to be at the top without a lot of hard work. Why strapping on the outside do you have to do every seam? So that is a perforated shear wall. Can you guys see this? Let's say that this right here is our shear wall. We have a hold down here. We have a hold down over here. That wall is calculated for shear OSB running from here to here. Now, when you have an opening get put in it, if you have a window, that is now called a perforated shear wall. So what they'll have us do is they'll put blocks from both sides of the opening on the header and the sill, and they require us to strap top and bottom. This gets them the achieved shear value that they need, all while having that same shear wall. Thoughts on titanium hammers? Do they have their place or they gimmick? If you like it, it's all you. I personally don't. I like wood handle. Tell the arm story. Let's jump back to that. I think I've talked about this once on the channel so far. We don't talk about it much. I have a problem with people screaming on a job site because of this, and it's kind of tough. He was a good friend of mine, and things were not so good. We were building no arm story. If we don't want to do the arm story, we could skip the arm story. I'm okay with that too. Let me know. Think you'll ever frame a house that finished carpentry TV will do? I haven't talked to him all that much. Never mind. Go ahead. Don't skip. Don't skip. Go ahead. All right. Titanium hammers are a young dude's Instagram flex. Exactly. Don't flex hammers. This is a fair warning to anybody. If you don't want to hear about a graphic story, go ahead and exit out for a bit. I was working on a bunch of sickos. Exactly. What we're going to talk about today is kind of gnarly. We were working on a mixed-use building. Yeah, let's learn from this mistake. Exactly. All of you guys that are listening right now can take something away from the story that we're about to tell. I was 18, and it was summertime, pretty hot outside. We were on a mixed-use building, commercial down below, residential up top. And at that point, this was before starting our own company, doing our own thing. And we had 3 to 4 different crews, basically pieceworking. That's kind of where we came from originally. So we had 3 to 4 different crews. Everybody was off doing their own thing. Once the commercial was finished on the bottom, it split off to 4 individual apartment buildings up top, and those went up 2 stories. So crew on each one of them. We had our little crew going, my pops, myself, and one other guy. Another crew had a buddy of ours who we've known for years, and one other guy. They were having a bad day. This is the guy, if you guys follow me on Reddit or go on Reddit often, I made a post recently talking about never frame angry. This is that story. So we were all going for it. It was piecework, so you got paid when the building was complete. Hacked way of doing business. I hate it, and I'll never do it again. Basically, we had all walls up, all 4 crews did. We're getting plumbing line braces set up where we brace the wall. We brace any of the long walls for line braces. He had, I'm going to try to give you the best explanation I can. He had a wall. And when you do a line brace, a plumb brace goes up against the wall and nails to it. A line brace will go from the top here down and nail to the floor. That keeps the wall straight. So he put up a line brace from here down. The line brace was too long, so he went to go cut it. He lifted up the end of the 2x4 here and went to go make his saw cut, thinking it was nailed up here, therefore it would just pivot off of the top cripple or the kinks that it was nailed to. And when he did that, he went to go pick the 2x4 up, the brace material, and ran his saw through it. Problem number 1, his guard was pinned. A lot of people ran with pinned guards back then because it was not a great time to be framing. Money picks the material up, as soon as his saw touches the material, the end of the brace fell off the wall. What this did was catapulted the saw up and then straight through his wrist. Now, it went through the first bone all the way. It cut, like if you feel your wrist right now, all the things on the backside of your wrist right there, it cut through everything. And it was bad. It cut clear through the bone and nearly cut through the second one. And I was 18 years old. I remember hearing the gnarliest scream I've ever heard in my life. And I looked over, and my pops looked at me, because I don't do good with accidents like that. I'm in the process of doing like first aid training to where I don't do exactly what I did, and I can be prepared for a situation. But he told me, he's like, don't look. When you tell someone don't look, they're gonna look. So I looked, and his arm was just dangling, and it was the gnarliest thing. It was, blood was going everywhere. It was bad. And another thing I want to give you guys a tip here. When you do a project and you're in charge of that project, you map out the closest route to the hospital, because you need to know that. If you don't have a clue where the dang hospital is, this guy made it there within minutes. They were fast. He climbed down the ladder. He was in the general's truck and on his way to the hospital. He made it there quick. They life flighted him out. They reattached everything, and he was okay. He has his hand still. Everything's still there. It works, but it was the worst thing I've seen in my life. Now, there's a few things that could have gone wrong. He could have died, and that would have stuck with me forever too. But he cut his arm off, not all the way, but nearly all the way. Pin guard, framing angry, piece working. Handle your job sites a little bit better. Hypothetically, if I yelled at your personal sawman and said, cut it fat or skinny, would he know what I meant? Absolutely. You know how many weird things Hvac says? Crazy that his nerves were good enough to put back together. Everything, it was bad. You guys should have tourniquet training as well. I highly agree. I need to. There's a lot of things I need to do as far as safety goes, and we're working on it now. But they were able to put his arm back together. He was out of work for like 9 months. Unreal. Why do you tack plates onto the side of the mud sill? We'll get to that in a second. Does he still work in construction? He did. He did. I think he might. He went back after a year, and I think he's still framing to this day. He might have switched it up. Called him fast injuries. Keep a hand. Yeah. Something to tie his arm off would have been really helpful. I would never touch a saw after that. It was tough. That moment kind of helped me be a little bit safer. I don't like to pin a guard. I still do from time to time, depending on what I'm doing. It helped me be a bit more safe, though. So you always wear a belt to work. Yes. Sorry, just saw you were live. Oh, that's all right. We've been here for 1 hour and 6 minutes. All right. Why do you tack on plates to the side of the mud sills? If we have a building, so I go through and label all of our walls. Danger is my business. What business are you in, buddy? Back to the mud sill question. If we have walls that run over, and then we have some walls that run in between, I will tack to the outside to where we can still lay everything out. Just depends on what you have going. If you have concrete pop-outs, you can't exactly do that. You'll tack everything on top. It's personal choice for laying out. Are you considered a framing contractor or more of a builder? We're in the process of transitioning right now. So we're going from, just pushed a rebar through my foot. Ugh. Back to that one. Sorry, I'm reading everything. Are you considered a framing contractor or more of a builder? We're in the process of switching things around. We've done multiple projects from dirt to turnkey as a general. And as of lately, we've been in this workflow of doing framing subcontracting. It works good. It pays good. But I want to step more into like the project management side of things and manage projects from dirt to turnkey as a long-term goal. As of right now, we are a framing contractor. We do concrete and siding. Is foreigners working in California a problem? No, happens quite a bit. Have you read Larry Hahn's book, The Very Efficient Carpenter? I have. It's sitting on my office desk, and I love it. Just discovered you a few weeks ago and probably seen 100 videos. That is awesome. Thank you. Is there a personal preference between conventional roof framing and engineered trusses? Engineered trusses are called out so many times here in California because they can achieve what we need. If they want vaults in the ceiling, they can get it. If they want the roof to do some crazy stuff up top, they can make it happen as well. It's also a cost thing. It costs a lot less to have engineered trusses made, and they're engineered. When you have a hand-cut roof, there's a lot of engineering that goes into it. You'll have a lot of hardware that goes in. If I yelled to your cut guy 5/16 slightly strong, would he get mad at me? I make fun of Fox from time to time for this because it's always 3/4 heavy, and then it switches to 7/8 light. It's like, okay, I get it. Just got here. Do you trim interiors too? I will on personal projects. The houses that we're going to do in Oregon, yes, but not for clients. We'll sub that out. All right, guys, we are 1 hour and 10 in. I'm going to hop off of here. It's 4th of July weekend. I really enjoyed this. I haven't hopped on a live. I've been trying to figure out how to do this. I know what I'm doing as far as like the camera goes, but like this was a whole new thing. I have my DSLR that I shoot with on site set up. I have my microphone stuck here. Just wanted to hop on here and have some fun with you guys. I'll catch you guys next time, though. Hope you're all doing good. Have a good 4th of July. I'll see you next time. Abby, you want to come? Oh, never mind. I have my little one. One sec. You want to say bye? You want to say bye? Okay, you can come out here. Look at this. This is our little microphone. You see it? Can you say hello? Hi. All right, guys. Have a good 4th of July. Steven, happy 4th. You guys are awesome. This has been a lot of fun. If you guys would like to see this every Saturday, we can make it work. Some lady hear this comment, please. I want to go to the U.S. Please match and marry an American girl. Buddy, I wish I could help you out there. That would be awesome. but unfortunately, I don't think I can. Happy 4th to all of you. Can you say bye to the camera?
Bye, camera.
Bye, camera. You guys have a good weekend. Stay safe. I'll see you next Saturday.